Here are some signs that your relationship may be headed for a breakup. Sometimes relationships just don't work out, of course. You may feel like something is off, but you can't quite put your finger on it. Here are some red flags that your relationship may be in trouble. The first is lack of healthy communication. So if you and your partner have stopped sharing your thoughts, your feelings, and your needs, that is, of course, a serious issue. Good relationships thrive on open conversations, honest conversations. So if every discussion turns into a fight, or worse, if you've actually just both disconnected completely and gone silent with each other, that is not a good sign. Then, of course, there's constant fighting, but not the healthy, productive kind. It can actually be healthy to have disagreements. But if you're stuck in a cycle, rehashing the same arguments with no resolution, that's very draining on the relationship. Resentment builds, and suddenly you're not partners, you're opponents. And another big one is loss of intimacy. And I am not just talking about sex. Emotional intimacy is just as crucial. And so if you don't feel connected anymore, if affection, little gestures have disappeared, if you're not spending quality time with each other anymore, there's, maybe something deeper going on. And then there's different priorities and values. This can change over time, over a long-term relationship. Maybe it's about how you raise your kids, religion, how you spend money, even how you spend your free time. If you and your partner are not aligned on these fundamental things, it can be very difficult to sustain a long-term relationship. It can feel like you're both rowing a boat in the opposite direction, right? And finally, a big one is a lack of trust. So, if trust is broken in a relationship, it's very hard to glue the pieces back together. It's not impossible. But, if you're trying, but one of you just isn't getting over those feelings of suspicion and they're feeling insecure and it's not getting better, or if the other person says they're going to work on these things, but they're really just doing the same behaviors, that is going to make it very difficult to survive. These are warning lights on your dashboard. And so if you're noticing these patterns, it's a wake-up call, and it's time to have a real conversation with your partner. If you truly do want to do the work to make it work, I really suggest you reach out to a therapist. They can help give you the tools, new tools, to communicate, to try to work on things. But if intimacy and sex are a big issue, I really, really suggest you look for a couples therapist, a marriage therapist, who specifically says that they are sex positive, that they have training in sex therapy, if kink informed, if that's something that you need, because traditional education for therapists really doesn't include much of anything when it comes to sex. It's actually kind of shocking because obviously sex is a part of relationships. So, but many therapists go out and obtain training because they recognize that there's a hole there that they, and they need to have that more training. So look for a therapist who specifically says that they have education in sex therapy, and that they're a sex positive couples therapist. Because otherwise you may end up with a therapist who really isn't very comfortable talking about the nitty-gritty of your sex lives, or really doesn't know how to help you guys communicate your needs or negotiate those issues. But regardless, it is work, and I wish it was easier, but a therapist can really, really help you guys if you're stuck in the same patterns. They can give you a new perspective, a new set of tools. And if one of you isn't interested or realistically isn't coming through with doing that work, then it may be time to accept that the healthiest move for you may be just to let it go.